That's a really powerful place to approach any new relationship. You're more likely to make the right decisions. You're more likely to attract a response from someone where they realize that you're worth valuing and worth respecting and worth spending time with. And you're less likely to get caught up wasting too much time with time wasters. Stop chasing love, stop begging for love, stop settling for things that aren't even love, and start attracting the best, deepest, most beautiful connections that you deserve to have. My darlings, welcome back to another video, or if you're brand new, welcome. My name's Lucie, and on this channel I share all kinds of things about personal development, spirituality, and how to become the best version of you. Today's video is all about how to attract true love and to stop chasing it. I feel particularly blessed, grateful, and qualified to be talking about this today because the love of my life and I are getting married very soon. Or perhaps we're even already married by the time you're watching this video. You'll have to have a look on my Instagram to see if there's any wedding spam on there yet. So we've been in a relationship for 8 years now. And prior to being in a relationship with Jamie, I had several relationships before then, several unofficial relationships before then, and with all the respect in the world to those previous people I was in relationships with, there was something fundamentally different about my relationship with Jamie that exists in this relationship that didn't exist in those other relationships. And actually, that one fundamental thing that's different between this relationship and all those other relationships is not actually so much to do with them, it's more to do with me. So I'm going to be sharing in this video what I changed internally in order to then manifest a relationship that was qualitatively different to all the rest. I remember times during my teenage years where I actively hated myself. I wished that I wasn't me. I despised the way that I looked. I envied the other girls who were developing when I was still a flat-chested little girl. And I really didn't, I felt very uncomfortable. I felt very awkward. I felt ashamed of being me. And this is, everyone's journey is probably actually the culmination of multiple moments, many of which we probably have even forgotten, which kind of over time lead to you feeling crap about yourself. So I won't go into detail about the different instances I can remember because mine are mine and yours are yours. What I will touch upon is the healing process that I've embarked upon since then, which is a never-ending thing. I'm not here saying like I'm perfectly healed, I love myself perfectly, I'm not. But it's a hell of a lot of an improvement compared to how I felt about myself back then. And the turning point for me was a period of about 6 months, actually. Yeah. Where I really explored feeling like a beautiful woman rather than like an unworthy, unattractive girl. Interestingly, I'm not talking about physical appearance one bit. I'm talking about my concept of self. And I've talked about this in other recent videos about how you manifest things based on how you perceive yourself, based on how you feel about yourself, based on literally how you see yourself. I'm not talking about the physical thing in the mirror. I'm talking about, do you see yourself, and let me just talk to the women here for a second, but anyone can get this message. Do you see yourself as a powerful, beautiful woman? Do you see yourself as divine feminine energy? Do you feel that you're a goddess? Do you feel that you are lovable and adorable and powerful and dynamic and complex and respectable? Do you feel that way about yourself? Or do you feel like a silly little girl? This is regardless of age. Do you still feel, actually, when you strip it all down, like a silly little girl that's not good enough? Do you feel like everyone else has got that beauty, but you don't? Do you feel like everyone else has got that confidence, but you don't? I'm speaking because that's how I used to feel about myself. That was my old self-concept. Interestingly, since I've changed my self-concept, well, I feel more beautiful now, and other people see me as more beautiful now. And I genuinely think I'm more beautiful now, but I know that that's also, it started with me making a change in terms of how I felt about myself. The physical is a manifestation of the internal. So during that 6-month period, I was completely single. There were a few unofficial relationships that happened in that 6-month period, but none of them were because I was desperate for love, desperate for approval, desperate for attention. It was more just like, I want to have fun. I want to explore interacting. I want to explore I want to feel like a powerful woman who could, surprise and delight someone. And yet at the same time, I'm just this powerful character, like from a movie, that they have the honor of spending some time with, however brief. So that was kind of my new perspective. And even then, I wasn't super confident in how I looked, but I just chose to play a new role, whereas exploring being this young, powerful woman rather than feeling like a silly little girl. It is a mental construct, not a physical one. Within that 6-month period, I also moved to Spain, as some of you know if you've watched previous videos of mine. And I had some of my loneliest days and loneliest nights during that 6-month period because I was living on my own. I couldn't sleep some nights. I was so lonely. So I'm not saying that like the 6-month period was me feeling amazing all the time, but often part of the healing process is doing what some people call shadow work, where you're really kind of looking at those places that you haven't looked at before. You're stripping distractions away so that there's nothing to hide between you and how you really feel about yourself. So that was quite a sad, upsetting, lonely time during those months as well. But what it did coming out the other end was I really developed a relationship with myself that I had been ignoring and neglecting in the past. Living on my own actually gave me the time, gave me the mental space, gave me the freedom to be selfish enough to listen to myself, to actually hear what I wanted to do and follow that and honor that and go for a walk here and choose to spend my weekends doing this and immerse myself in this creative experience or this book or this documentary or whatever it is that I wanted to do. I followed the pull. I followed the internal calling that was coming from me. So if you ever do get the opportunity, and I encourage you to create that environment for yourself if you need it. I know we do often have commitments and family, and some of you have children and all of these people that do require your time. But even in that environment, can you find a way to dedicate some time to being selfish enough to listen to yourself and honor those thoughts and honor those feelings by acting on them? That was what I started to do. And in turn, I started to have an even stronger relationship with me, a more whole relationship with me, where I felt, and this is a real key here, I started to feel whole and complete on my own, exactly as I am. It was shortly after that when Jamie walked into my life, and he undeniably was the most handsome person that I'd ever felt attracted to. And yet at the same time, I still didn't feel desperate. I still didn't feel like, oh my gosh, I really hope that he likes me, or I really hope that this works out. And if it doesn't, I don't know what to feel about myself. Like, I'd had such a good time over the last 6 months of feeling more and more happy and whole and complete with myself, that if it worked out with him, brilliant, it would be a wonderful bonus. But I was also in a place in my life where I thought, if he ends up being someone who wastes my time, or where we just don't fully align with each other or anything, then I don't want to go through the emotional drainingness of that kind of experience. So it's like, it's going to be perfect, he's going to be amazing, and we're going to get on really well. Or if not, no worries, I'm good either way. That's a really powerful place to approach any new relationship, because your standards are set, your boundaries are in place, and because you're good with or without that person, it means that you don't tolerate anything that is toxic. And it also means that they get a strong vibe from you of that you are the kind of person that should be treated with respect. And nobody's time gets wasted. Funnily enough, in the early stages of our relationship, things weren't really flowing effortlessly. Okay, so I'm not saying it all has to be super perfection, but how I handled those twists and turns of the beginning of the relationship worked out really well. So for example, I had a job at the time in Spain where I worked daytime and Jamie worked in the evenings. So I would get home from teaching at about 4:00, 5:00, and he would start his shift at work in the bar at around 6:00. And so was on his way to work from around 5:30. So it was really like ships passing in the night, right? We were on and off at the exact opposite times. I remember that we texted each other, and we were kind of loosely trying to figure out a time when we could meet up and see each other. And I suggested a couple of times, which he said he couldn't do. And I wasn't getting a strong message back from him where he was really trying to make it work. So I thought to myself, well, I'm not going to be desperate about this. Either he wants this to work enough to find a way, or he doesn't. So I said to him by text, I remember sending a text that says, oh, well, I guess the universe just doesn't want to allow us to meet up, or I guess the universe just isn't working out for us to meet up, something like that. And then instantly I got a message back from him saying, no, screw that, screw the universe, let's find a time to meet up. And some of you might be feeling a bit triggered by the fact that he said screw the universe, but he meant it in a way that was like, you know, screw leaving it down to, you know, oh, maybe it's not meant to be, or the hands of fate. And he stepped up and valued and respected me enough to want to meet up. As I've learned about Jamie, I've come to learn that he is a beautifully laid back person. And so sometimes it requires a little bit of initiation from me to say, are we going to do this or what? And then when he realizes, oh shoot, yeah, this is actually something that's really important to me, then yes, absolutely, he has absolutely stepped up and is such a dedicated and devoted partner and future husband and teammate and bestie. So yeah, you know, so I was coming from a place where I was like, you know, maybe if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I ended up happening to attract a response from him where he wanted it. But even if he hadn't have made the effort, I would have been okay with that. I would have just been like, I'm not going to jump through hoops and try super hard if the other person doesn't want it. And he wanted it. So here we are 8 years later. The moral of this story is that it's not always super simple, super perfect. But if you can develop the strength and the rooted groundedness and certainty and assuredness in who you are, in what you deserve, in what you want, and that you're okay, you're absolutely tip-top, tickety-boo, 100% feeling whole and complete on your Larry as you are, then it allows you to navigate the winding roads of relationship building where you're more likely to make the right decisions. You're more likely to attract a response from someone where they realize that you're worth valuing and worth respecting and worth spending time with. And you're less likely to get caught up wasting too much time with time wasters. So in conclusion, stop chasing it, stop being desperate for it, and instead focus back on you, focus back on your relationship with yourself, and everything else that you will manifest from this new, certain, healed, strong place is going to be so good and so worth the inner work. If you'd like to dive deeper on this topic of self-healing, of self-love, of how to have total love and trust in you based from my experience, I've actually created a 6-part course which you can access if you're part of my members only area. So it's a super affordable way to get access to really high-level courses. All the details are in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit the subscribe button and ring my bell so that you never miss another video. Thanks again for watching, and remember, you absolutely deserve the best. I love you, you lovable person. Until next time, bye.